It's a November 8th, 2021, beautiful city of the villages in Florida. My name is Jong-woo Han. I am the president of Korean War Legacy Foundation, which has more than 1,500 of interviews of Korean War veterans, not only from the United States, but other 21 countries that participated in the Korean War. We are doing this to preserve your memory, first of all, but at the same time, we want to honor you, and we want to give this interview to our history teachers so that they can talk about the Korean War in the classroom for our young generations. That's why we are doing this. And this is a special occasion to commemorate the 70th anniversary of the breakout of the Korean War, supported by the Ministry of Patriots and Veterans Affairs of Republic of Korea. It's my great honor and pleasure to meet you, sir, and thank you for coming again for this interview. Please introduce yourself. What is your name, sir?
Ed O Toole.
Could you spell your last name?
Certainly. O apostrophe capital T O-O-L-E.
What is your birthday?
March 11th, 1933.
I'm sorry, March? March when?
11th.
11th? 29?
33.
33. So you are just 88.
Yes, sir.
You are young.
I know.
Where were you born?
In Boston, Massachusetts.
Oh, we love Boston. And tell me about your family background, your father, mother, and your siblings when you were growing up.
Well, we were born in all in Boston, Massachusetts. I was one of four, and surprising not surprising for the times, I suppose. My mother turned 21 after I was born, and I was the fourth child.
Oh, you are the youngest.
I was, well, there's a younger sister, but she was born in the 50s. But so my parents, there were four of us basically that grew up in the Boston area, and
so when did you graduate high school? What high school?
I never graduated from high school.
Why not?
I was too stupid to, and I didn't have the right people to help me.
Oh.
See what we see today and what we see yesterday, it was all do it. And I think I was left alone to do my stuff, and school wasn't one of them that I was interested in. I regret it every day.
No problem. Now you are the Korean War veteran.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So when did you join the military then?
I went in the Marine Corps November 19th, 1951.
November 1951. So that was already the Korean War broke out.
Yes.
But before that, did you know anything about Korea?
Not at all.
Not at all? You know, in the school, they didn't teach you?
No, I was out of school. I quit school when I was 16.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So why did you enlisted Marine Corps?
It's going to be strange, but it's true. Someone on the street that I lived on, I seen him in Marine Corps dress blues uniform, and it impressed me. So, in the Korean War was coming, and I wasn't going anywhere, so I felt, well, let me go. I'll do that. I'll try that.
So you were fascinated by the Marine Corps uniform.
Yes.
That's simple.
Yeah. Simple.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, they look awesome, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never had a dress blues uniform.
But did you know that Marine Corps has a very difficult and hard training?
Yes.
You knew that?
No, I didn't.
No. So what happened? I mean, where did you go for boot camp?
Paris Island, South Carolina.
Yeah, and how was it? Tell me, detail.
Well, it wasn't nothing bad. The only incident that happened to me there is we were in barracks, which were classrooms, and when you were in the class and when the time was over, you had to run down to the next classroom, which was downstairs. So what happens is the class got over, and I'm one of the first ones going. Now, you have a weapon with you. I'm one of the first ones going down the stairs, and the guy behind me pushes me, and when he pushes me, there was someone mopping the stairs, and I knock over a bucket of water. And as I go by, I see a DI got wet. So they called out, they come into the classroom and they said, who was the guy that did it? So I put my hand up and I said, because I didn't want everybody to just have it,
Right.
I did it.
Yeah.
So I come out and he's saying, did you kick that bucket over, like on purpose? I said, yes, sir. He says, you know what I should do? Yes, sir. I should kill you. Yes, sir. Right now, good, you know.
You did it on purpose?
No. I couldn't stop because everybody behind me is pushing.
Right.
See,
It's
we
like
all
a
could.
stampede.
A stampede,
Yeah.
just like what just happened in Houston, kind of a mini thing, if you would. You know, it was. I had no control over it, but I was the one I was the one that kicked the bucket. So,
Come on, you are the Marine. Come on,
but these guys are all jarheads too behind me. So, right.
So after boot camp in Parris Island, South Carolina, where did you go?
I went to Cherry Point, South Carolina.
For what?
I was in a supply. I had a MOS 3062, and that was a warehouse man.
Oh. And so how long did you stay there?
I stayed there until, January. They shipped me to Quantico to go to a supply school store, changing the MOS so that I was no longer a warehouse man, but I was a clerk, more of a clerk to not doing the warehouse work.
When did you go to Korea then?
That was what I'm saying was May, just before 53. I got in May of 53. I arrived.
You arrived in Korea May 53.
Yeah,
Where?
Incheon.
Incheon. And so up to that moment, you didn't know anything about Korea, right?
Not at all.
Not at all.
Not that there was a war going on there.
And why were you sent to Korea? Because you were in the supply warehouse working and you become the clerk. And you were doing pretty good in the United States. Why were you sent to Korea?
Well, what happened was when they sent me to Quantico for the school, I came out second in the class, and I chose to go overseas. I asked to go to Korea.
You chose?
I chose to go to.
So you volunteered to go to Korea?
Yes, sir.
There was war.
I didn't. I volunteered to go to overseas, so that was. If you were the higher up, the first person in the class could almost pick their station.
Uh-huh.
You know, each through.
So did you choose Korea over Germany? You were able to go to Germany, right?
That was it. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
They could have been.
Okay.
But I didn't opt. They just asked it, and I said overseas. I kind of oversaid. I said Korea.
Okay. So when you arrived in Incheon, May of 1953, how did Incheon look to you?
Now, I was in the air wing.
Air wing?
Air wing. I was in helicopters.
Ah.
And because I was in the air wing, I got off in Kobe.
Japan.
Yes. And we flew into Korea. So I flew into Seoul.
So you didn't arrive in Incheon?
No.
You said that you arrived in Incheon.
I arrived in Incheon? No.
No. Okay, so not in Incheon.
No.
But you arrived in Seoul,
Seoul.
and that's May of 1953?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
No. Yeah, May of 52, yes. We do a lot of editing here.
And how was Seoul at the time? Did you go around and look it up?
No, I got off the plane and got on a truck. And they took me to Ascom City. That's where I was stationed.
Mm-hmm. 의정부. Was it 의정부? Ascom City.
Yeah,
Yeah. And what did you do there?
I was now still in supply.
Supply.
Yeah.
What was your unit? You were in what company? What battalion? What regiment?
No, it was called HMR
HMR
161.
161. What is that? What is HMR?
Heavier than helicopters, anyways.
Heavy.
I forget. It was heavy.
Heavy marine.
No.
No.
It's something to do with scientific stuff. It'll lift. It doesn't need the resistance. Because there was another helicopters with us, and it was called VMO, and that was just the helicopters that had the two. They could carry like a stretcher on each side. They couldn't carry. There was no passengers on them.
So you belong to HMR 161.
Yeah.
And that is the helicopter unit.
Yes, sir.
But it's still Marine Corps, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And did you do supply there, or what did you do?
Yeah, that's what I was doing.
So give me an example. What kind of supply were you in charge?
Well, the helicopters, for maintenance, they would have to replace simply like spark plugs and oil filters and that kind of stuff. And that's what we were doing. We would make sure they had them when they were bringing it in for maintenance.
Mm-hmm. So were there any dangerous moments that you might have been killed?
Not really, no.
Not really.
No.
And so what did these helicopters do at the time?
They were moving the troops. They could move a squad. They could put like 6, and they had like 15 helicopters. They could move a squad where now by having the stuff, allowing them to accomplish that.
Right. Yeah. What was your rank at the time?
Corporal.
Corporal? So you stationed there until you left?
Yes, sir.
You didn't move around, right?
No.
No. When did you left Korea?
I'd say September of 54.
54. And while you are there was armistice signed, right?
Yes, sir.
July 27.
That's what I tell everybody. I came and they put their hands up and they said, I quit.
You quit?
No. They said I quit.
No.
No, they seen me. So when I showed up, big tough Marine, they said, whoa, we quit. Let's sign the truce.
Oh, I see. So the North Korean enemies were afraid of U.S. Marine Corps.
Yeah, well, they were afraid of me.
Oh, you.
It was me, not the Marine Corps, it was me.
I like that spirit.
Yeah, they had a breakout or something, and I'm not sure in my mind's eye. There was a prisoner of war camp in Ascom City, the back part of it.
Oh, who? North Koreans? Chinese?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So tell me about it. What did you see there?
I seen nothing. I never even seen it. I could hear them.
You could hear them, but you never
I
saw.
never actually saw the fences or anything like that. We weren't that close.
I see.
So I used to live in Foxborough, Massachusetts, and I lived near the football stadium. So you could hear these programs, you know. That's what I was hearing. I couldn't distinguish what it was. Now, okay, carry on.
No.
No, I was just thinking, and I just lost what I was trying to say.
Did you know how many prisoners were there?
No,
No idea?
no idea.
Then where did you sleep and what did you eat? How was life there? How was living conditions there?
Well, we were in a building, so it was ideal. That was an industrial park or some kind of business, and we had bunk. We didn't have beds. We had bunks, cots. You know, that was our sleeping. But we had a cubicle, six of us in one spot. You know, like right here, you'd have 6, 3, 3. You know, so it was pretty easy. Yeah. And there was no inspections, which I hated. So the Marine Corps, they had inspecting the inspectors, you know, and that was the easy life.
So you were kind of exceptional.
I think not me, all of us.
Oh, yeah. Because you were in charge of supply, or why didn't?
Oh no, well, because the guy that might be sleeping next to me, he wasn't in supply. He could have been a mechanic,
Yeah.
or something else, a truck driver. You know what I mean? It was just we were enlisted men.
Right, but why didn't they inspect you?
Oh, because the Marine Corps had this spit and polish thing.
What is that?
You know, you had to shine your shoes.
Right.
Everything. All of this. We were backing up, when I was in South Carolina, North Carolina, they were going to have an inspection, so they had us go out and pre-inspection. And I had some officers behind me, and they were arguing with themselves about my haircut that I didn't have, which I knew I didn't have it because I knew I was going to have an inspection in a week. So I figured, I won't get the haircut for this inspection, but I'll get it for that one.
But why there was no inspection in Korea, in your unit? Why?
Because there was no one wore ties. You know, there was we didn't dress up. We were in.
Why you didn't dress up?
Well, casual. Well, I don't want to call it casual clothes, but you were in fatigues.
Right.
That's all.
Yeah.
Okay. We wore boots, so we didn't have shoes to shine.
So, were there any Korean soldier working with you?
Korean soldiers, no.
No?
No.
What about Korean boys working
Yes.
in? Tell me about that.
Well, they worked basically in the kitchen area and in the maintenance. You know, they had young boys, I don't know, maybe 15, 16 years old, and they did that.
Did they do laundry for you?
They must have.
Yeah.
Because I can't recall me doing washing.
So did you pay for those people?
Yes.
Were you able to go back to Seoul City?
Actually, I never did. I never been. I went to Seoul and I came out of Seoul, and that was the thing.
What else did you do while you were in Korea?
What else? I have one incident that was.
Yes, please tell me.
Yes, we in the top of our the floor, the roof. We used to show movies.
Oh.
And there was a movie that was being shown, and it was Gina Lalla Brigidina. I don't know if you know
yeah,
I don't know if that
her.
name. But
She's an Italian actress.
yes, this was a movie that was in Italian.
Mm-hmm. Is that Notre Dame?
Pardon?
Is it somehow Notre Dame? No, just go ahead.
And what was happening is we had this guy, Bed Check Charlie,
Yeah.
and he would come by.
What is Bad Check Charlie? Explain it to...
You would hear, well, it happened to us. We'd be watching the movie, and you'd hear this, it sounded like a, I don't know, a chuck, 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 and it was like a piper cub, and the person would throw out a flare, so we'd have to have an air raid, so we couldn't see the movie. Mm-hmm. So 3 times I watched that movie, and I never did see the end of the movie because of Bed Check Charlie.
Every time you were watching movie, Bad Check Charlie
He came around, and it was almost the same. It was almost like you could set your clock by your watch by it.
But could you explain it to a young student what Bad Check Charlie means?
Well, Bed Check Charlie was the checking, making sure everybody was in, and that was someone had that job to make sure all.
Bad Check Charlie was an enemy airplane, right?
But that was just a given name, because Bed Check Charlie was actually another Marine would check the attendance, right? Make sure everybody's in. So, and this is what Bed Check Charlie was doing, was making sure everybody was in.
Now I understand.
Yeah.
So Bad Check Charlie originally means it's a North Korean small airplane actually throwing up the grenade against us. But now you see the Marine higher ups checking into you guys, so you call them as a Bad Check Charlie.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's very funny.
So he had that job to make sure we were going to be in. Mm-hmm. So I'll fly over. They must be still in. Because they pull an air raid.
Mm-hmm. And have you been back to Korea since you left Korea?
No.
Not at all. All right. So were you able to write letter back to your family?
Yes.
Whom did you write to?
My mother.
Mother? And?
I guess.
Friends?
No. Maybe to my wife. She wasn't my wife, but she's
your girlfriend?
Girlfriend.
Okay. What's her name?
Her name was Joanne.
Joanne. Did you marry her later?
Yes.
Okay. And is she alive now, Joanne?
Yes.
Oh.
But I divorced her.
Okay.
She divorced me.
Oh.
But my current wife, we just celebrated our 50th wedding anniversary.
Together?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Even though you are divorced?
Yeah.
How much were you paid at the time? Your salary?
my salary, what I had done was I just signed forward my check. I never got a check. They just was shipping it to my house, to my parents' house.
Uh-huh. And so you must have a lot of money in your account then, bank account.
I thought I did, but my father used it. My father was a gambler, so.
That's a bad.
Yeah.
That's really bad.
Uh-huh.
His son was in the war.
Yeah.
And that's the money how you earned it, and he used it for his gambling?
Yeah.
That's bad. So after you coming back from Korea, what did you do, sir?
I got a job at the place, a pool car. A pool car is when they shippers are shipping stuff from locations outside of Massachusetts. They would multiple stuff, and it becomes cheaper. So then it'd be redistributed amongst their consumers, not the public, but the, you know.
So now, do you know anything about the Korean economy?
No.
How well they are doing?
No.
You don't know?
No. I see the you know, I'm curious, like, to see Ascom City today. I'm curious, like, to see what it would look like.
Exactly. You're not going to be able to recognize how it's been changed.
Uh-huh.
Do you know the South Korean size, the territory? How big is it?
No.
It's the half size of the Florida state. It is very, very small.
Okay.
But Korean economy is now 10th largest economy in the world.
Yeah.
Can you believe that?
Get those cars, that's why. I don't know, they do I'm sure they must make other products other than the Kias, but yeah.
Yeah. South Koreans are making a lot of automobile, refrigerator, microwave, every kind of household electronics, right?
Yeah.
And cellular phone, right? Samsung. So that's how it's been changed. 10th largest economy in the world. Can you believe that?
It's wonderful.
What do you think? What do you think about that?
That's like, wow.
Wow, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you were in Korea, they were very poor, right? Do you remember anything? How poor Korea was at the time?
Well, being in the service, we didn't really have a lot of contact with, other than the, I forget the nickname that we had for the kids. I don't have that name, you know, but they were. It was that same name, whether it was the same person or not. If, you know what I mean? It was like he's the butler. They're all butlers, so we wouldn't be knowing it was Jimmy the butler or anything.
How many grandchildren do you have?
Right now I have 11.
11.
10.
Wow. And do they know about your Korean War service?
No.
They don't know?
No.
You didn't tell them?
No. No. I was nothing to brag about that I was in Korea.
I see.
It was just that was something I had to do, and I did it. I didn't question where I was going. I just followed orders. You know? So I just recently had my 6th great-grandchild.
Oh. Great-grandchild.
Great-grandchild, yeah. Well, of course, I'm 88, so...
88, you are young.
I know that, but
other veterans I interviewed, 91. 91-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Why is the Korean War known as Forgotten War? Why? Why is it Forgotten War?
Because there was no the press in the press today is not the press of yesterday, and I think that's what helped it. Is the Koreans making the TVs and the exposing, making everything so much more available. The telephones, cell phones, that's exposed all of that stuff, which it didn't exist that years ago. So that's just growth.
So why is it important? The Korean War is important in your life. Is there any reason?
Important?
Yeah.
It was important because that was what I was going to do at that moment in time.
Yeah.
and that was important. So to contribute, helping the Korean people. Not you specifically, for instance, but Korean people.
Yes, sir.
It was just, you were all the same.
Yeah.
Right. You were all the same, but you were all different.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. You're right. You're perfectly right. So, what do you think about North Korea then? Now?
Now, all you see is, I can't even remember his name now. I haven't seen his name, but that's all you see from North Korea. You know. So that there is no communications. So it's basically, there's no communications from Russia, no communications from all of those, Iran, and they're just not there. We don't have that, you know. And with, as far as like the news goes, to me, if it bleeds, it leads. So you're not having accidents, and they're not going to talk to you about it.
Any other memories or episode you want to leave to this interview? Anything you remember and still bother you? What was the most difficult thing during your service in Korea?
Most difficult thing? Not having pizzas, I guess, or something like that. It was something incidental, something that not having. I just say pizza. I don't have a pizza at home, so.
Yep. You missed your home, right? Your family members.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Any other episode or memories that you have about your service in Korea?
Yeah, what was I? Because I was talking about the two, and I told you about the movie. The movie I thought was interesting.
That's about it?
Yeah. Yeah, there was nothing. No.
No. Got it.
Good. I hope you can use it.
Absolutely. Yeah, Ed, thank you for your service as a proud member of Marine Corps, and you did contribute to the war as a Korean War veterans in the supply side of it, and you had very important time there in Korea. So I want to thank you for your honorable service and fighting for Korean people. Thank you, sir.
Entirely welcome.
Yep.